I'm thrilled to be here today, joined by fashion designer and TIME100 honoree, Christian Siriano. Christian, who's also a mentor on Bravo's Project Runway, is perhaps most known for the way his work has helped change the fashion industry by celebrating and showcasing diversity and body positivity. In the last month and a half, he's fundamentally remade his business, transforming his Midtown Manhattan fashion studio into an operation that produces the cloth masks New York hospitals need to slow the spread of COVID-19. Christian, it's so great to have you with us today.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. And in these strange times, where are you in the world?
I'm here in my house in Connecticut. We're in my little studio right now where I decompress. And it's an interesting day every day. It's a new day.
Totally. And especially for you. I mean, 2 months ago, you were making couture, and now your team has produced and shipped more than 25,000 face masks to help frontline workers. How did you even begin to make that pivot?
I know, it's wild. I know just the other day we almost hit 30,000, and I was like, I can't believe that we're a mask factory. It's like wild to think about that, that's what we do every day when we go to the office. I know, and it's so interesting that what happened with such a small, naive tweet that I tweeted at the governor being like, we can help in some way and we can do something. I didn't think it would turn into what it turned into. I'm very proud of what we've done. And, but it's so crazy that people needed masks so much and still do. I mean, we still get requests every single day. So that's what's more unbelievable to me is that it's such a need and it was a need.
So, but how did you actually do it? I mean, you have this little studio, did you already have the fabric? Did you already have the distribution lines? How did that work?
I mean, I'm really lucky that I have a full working atelier. I mean, I'm a small business in New York. We have, 10 full-time seamstresses every day. We obviously make beautiful gowns normally. But yeah, so, I mean, and I was in a really lucky position. We have all these people that need a job, that need to work. I mean, all of my employees that make things are, hourly rate employees. I was like, how can I put them back to work and how can I do something good? And that was really where it came from. So we just were like, let's try to make a mask. Can we do it? Do we have fabric? And luckily we had thousands of yards of fabric that were just laying around. And we tried it and we did it. And so we made 50, then we made 100, then we made 500, then we were doing 500 a day. And it kind of just happened in a really organic way, but very quickly in 2 days, we were kind of up and running, which is wild. I mean, my team worked so hard and I'm pretty proud of them for kind of going at it.
And you were able to keep all of those people employed.
Yeah, and that was a big part of mine, all those, I mean, I have all women that work in my office and they have kids and families. And I was like, what can we do? So that was a big part of it too. Not only do we get to, help people, but we get to also I get to keep my business going somehow. I mean, we don't sell them at all, but at least we can give back in some way.
Right. So that's an important point. I mean, you're not selling these, you're giving them all away. How, is this happening by donation? How are you running your back end?
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, I kind of was like, how can I do this and afford this? And it was all from friends, family. I mean, luckily, I will say, I have some very famous, wealthy friends. So I asked them. I've never really asked kind of them for anything ever. I mean, I make free clothes all the time. So I was like, well, maybe even if they give me $5, it's something. So that was really how we fund it and still fund it and why we're able to donate every single one.
So what has the reaction been? Did you get a personal thank you note from Governor Cuomo?
Yeah, I will say we talk to the governor's team every day. I mean, we just had a call with them today. So I think they're so on top of it. I think what they've done is unbelievable for New York. I mean, really for the world now. And I think they've been so responsive, which is really respectful and very helpful. And now going forward, as things are getting back up and running, I think that they'll help get small businesses in place to maybe do this so we don't have something like this happen again. So I think that is really nice.
Yeah. For the time being, how long are you going to keep this up? Are you going to pivot to hospital gowns or what's the plan?
I know it's kind of wild. I'm like, is this my life? Because let me tell you, making masks is not very glamorous. It's not very pretty. But I will say I see my business at least for the next 6 months or so being in some type of protective manufacturing in some way. We've kind of fully pivoted into that, and but I kind of like it. I will say, like, I don't think fashion will mean the same thing after this. I think things need to be more emotional and mean something. And I think clothes do, but I think making this product, like, it's like, my best friend works at New York Presbyterian, which has the most cases, and she wears them every single day. She gave them to every single doctor in her hospital. Like, that, like, really feels good. And I think that's, like, the most rewarding thing about it in the end.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, absolutely. It's you're making a huge impact, and I love what you say about, that fashion is going to have to be different after this. Do you see this moment sort of changing the way that you are as an artist, changing your collection for next year?
Yeah, I think so. Like, I think I have to be smarter, and I think we all do. We all have to be like, okay, what do we need now, or what is? I mean, we still need fantasy and dreams and those things to escape, but I think it will just be different. It needs to be more meaningful, and whatever that is, I'm not sure yet, but it's definitely like how I'm designing now is I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, you're in your studio. I know that you've been doing a lot of painting and drawing and thinking about this moment artistically. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, painting really just started as like, it's like my escape, and the sketching, I sketch every single day just because, like, I have all these ideas, but I can't make them. So it's kind of like my way of getting it out there. And if somebody, buys a piece of art to make a donation, they get something pretty for their home too that feels nice. So it's kind of like a win-win for everybody, which I really like. I think it's like a nice escape for me.
So is that what your day-to-day is like now? I mean, obviously you're running your mask business, your personal protective equipment business from afar. But
Yeah.
what are your days like? You're
Yeah,
painting.
I go to my studio about 3 days a week to make sure that, like, we're still, like, pumping them out. We make almost 2,000 a day now, masks a day, which is wild. And then the other is kind of like at home, just like trying to, like, be a little bit normal, whatever that is. I mean, I also am used to, like, filming a TV show, having, like, multiple collaborations, doing a lot. I do so many projects. So it is different being at home every day. I mean, in some ways it's actually kind of nice, but then otherwise it's like creatively, like, you feel like stifled a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, you're obviously a mentor on Project Runway. A lot of people recognize you from that, and you believe deeply in the power of fashion and clothes and this sort of artistic expression. What do you think happens to the industry after this? How does it get reborn?
Oh gosh, I know. It's really interesting because some of my most amazing kind of great moments have been very public things. Like, if it's Michelle Obama at the DNC in my dress, or Billy Porter at the Oscars for the first, like, man ever to wear a gown at the Oscars, like, those were big moments. So it will be interesting to see what my big moments will be in my career, I guess. But I don't know what it'll be. I don't know if there will be red carpets anymore. None of us really know, like, what will a gala look like. So I think that's kind of what the hardest part about which I'm sure everyone has, is like an unknown scenario. But in a way, I do like that it's kind of like we can do whatever we want now in this new world, which is kind of cool.
Right. Yeah. I mean, moments in the past when there have been, the 1918 flu epidemic or World War II, or these big moments of reflection sort of have transformed the artistic world.
Yeah. I think it's like changes our whole culture. I mean, I was even saying the other day, like, we even doing these Zoom calls, like I did a Zoom call yesterday and there was 50 people on it. And I was like, we never do that. Like we lost kind of like this personal connection and the morale, like a team morale thing. I think that was a little bit lost. In a way, I think it's done a lot of like building together. I mean, I see families. My favorite thing is to see these little kids and their families at home making fashion, making clothes. Like we did the Met Gala challenge. And that was so cool to see like a 5-year-old little girl like make Janelle Monáe's outfit because she loved it. Like that's pretty interesting and inspiring, I think. So maybe it will be good.
Yeah, I mean, we were thinking about that as, people aren't walking around on the street. They're not going clothes shopping. The Met Gala just came and went with no one parading up and down the steps. Can you imagine a world in which fashion lives and becomes something new online?
Yeah, I think because people will still need that kind of escapism. I think people still love fashion because it's visually emotional to people. And we need that. Like, I think we all do. And I'm kind of excited to see like, what will Fashion Week be in come September? Who knows? And it's kind of a way for brands to like get creative again. And I think my biggest thing is to get your customers more involved. I've kind of always done that a little bit, but like making sure that like they feel good about the brands that they're supporting will be nice.
Yeah. How are you thinking about getting your customers involved in September Fashion Week?
Yeah, I'm not fully sure, but I want them to like be part of the process from a little more from start to finish, like showing maybe how we create a dress and what it turns into with feedback could be kind of interesting. We never get feedback before we show a collection ever from the consumer, from a buyer, from anyone. So I don't know, maybe it's a time to involve them. Not too much because I still want to like be me and too many cooks in the kitchen, but it will be kind of cool to see. I can imagine like my mom calling me being like, I don't really love that color because she never would. And I'm like, Mom, the whole collection is that color. She said that to me the other day. That's just why I bring it up because it's so funny.
Yeah. Well, there was a period where my mom would provide, bullet pointed feedback on my various adventures, and
definitely
gotta nip it in the bud.
Moms are the best.
So when you, we talked a little bit about how you're thinking, spending time and, trying to have a little bit of normalcy. But obviously this is an unprecedented moment. There's fear and anxiety and kind of like everyone's life has been turned upside down, whether they're continuing to work or not. How does that, when you think about dressing the man or woman who enters into that world, what are you thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's so many things. It's like, what is their lifestyle now? Like, are they still at home working? Do they have a job still? I mean, it's like so how are we pricing the clothes? I mean, it's everything. I mean, yeah, our whole team is kind of like, it's just a whole new world, especially for this type of business. Things that are, and there's so many brands out there. I think it will be interesting to see how everything differs from one another now going forward. I think people won't need as much as they used to, which I think will be, a really interesting task. And I'm not sure what it'll be. I really am not. But it will be an interesting, kind of like a challenge, which I'm up for.
Yeah. Not to put you on the spot. You don't need to have your whole future 2021, 22 collection.
I know, but it is interesting. Like I really think about it and I'm like, what will it be? I mean, it's like, I don't know, what will people even want to wear? And that's kind of where we are. I think like, I was like talking, I did Kelly Clarkson's talk show the other day and we were talking and she's like, Christian, I can conquer the world in pajamas. And I'm like, well, Kelly, that's not helping me. I was like, come on.
At some point, you're going to have to take off your sweatpants.
Yeah. I'm like, give me something.
Do you think that, right now, of course, you're making masks for frontline workers and donating them, but do you foresee, at least in the next 12 to 18 months, that masks actually become a point of fashion as we begin to for you?
Yeah, and I do, and I think they already kind of have started. I think I've noticed it's so interesting. Like you see, like certain celebrities, everyone's getting paparazzi, like going to the grocery store, and I'm like, what they're wearing in a mask is like headline news, and I'm like, that's interesting. Okay, and it's like I love seeing like what kids at home are wearing as opposed. Like I think it's a really cool way of expressing yourself, and it's such like a cheap, easy way to do it, which is kind of fun too. But we've been making actually, like I made a few kind of couture masks just for fun for myself. And we've had so many people ask for them. And I'm like, okay, maybe this could be something. It's like a new form of jewelry, which is cool.
Wow. Yeah. What did your couture masks look like?
Yeah, we made like a fully encrusted pearl mask. We made a fully encrusted kind of crystal mask. We made one with these like petals on it. But I just made it like because I was like bored and in the office, like watching my team like make the other masks all day. I'm like, God, I need something pretty. But it's so interesting that people wanted to buy them. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And for all the advice that we hear is continue to wear masks even as we
Yeah.
open. So there's your
Yeah.
market.
And I think it's like, and I think it's still smart. Like, I think there's nothing wrong with like having protection, but also like looking interesting or beautiful or whatever you want. I think that's like a great, a huge way for fashion to change. Like we always talk about like, how can it be sustainable or how can it, I mean, protective clothing should be something of the future. Because like, obviously all our bodies are the most important thing now, as we all have realized. So yeah, I think that's a huge market.
Right. And something else you said, not only is it protective, but it can also be beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, same with like we were talking about like hospital gowns and funny thing about masks and hospital gowns in a hospital that they're not like reusable or washable or there's nothing to that design. They haven't redesigned it in so long. It needs a revamp because our world is different now. So that's an interesting kind of, I mean, that $1 billion business for certain companies. So I think that I'm sure they're on it right now.
So we've talked a little bit about your pivot and looking to this moment for inspiration and change. Is there anyone else? Is there anyone else in the industry, in the fashion world, who you've been inspired by, or your fellow entrepreneurs too?
I think it's like, I mean, to be honest, I'm mostly inspired by like, being on, we're on social media, everybody. And like, I'm mostly inspired by like the families with their kids at home, like doing DIYs and homeschooling and painting and crafts. And like, that's really actually what, for me, what's most interesting. And, because I feel like they're doing like their own good deed in a way. So I don't know. That's like, I love seeing these like kids like make these clothes inspired by like their favorite actress or whatever. I think it's really beautiful to see. And I think it's really nice that we're paying attention to it because we never used to. So I think that kind of is inspiring. Like, I think a next collection for me, like I want it to be where all these different generations are interested in it. It's not just like the buyer and Neiman Marcus. Like, I don't care that much anymore about that. I want more people. So I think that that's exciting for me. I mean, even just to see these doctors and families like go to work every day it's like mind blowing. That's like not inspiring in some way. I don't know what is.
Absolutely. And, maybe there's another, 8-year-old Christian Siriano out there who's stuck at home and designing dresses right now.
Because we all get to like slow down and kind of try new things. I mean, even one of my friend's mom was like, she took up sewing and she's like, I'm making masks and I'm making clothes. And I'm like, and she would never do that. And I think that's like, I don't know, it's like a third party person, but if you can inspire them a little bit, I think that's pretty cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. And, as you say, we wouldn't normally necessarily be paying attention to these people.
Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing is that like the whole world, our eyes are open. We're like more interested in other things. I think, which it will be, I think that will be the future. Like there is no more, and also like this elitist world has kind of gone away because who cares? Like, I think that's a huge flip in our culture dynamically, because you really need your doctor and you really need your nurse more than anything now. So yeah.
Or your grocery store
Or
clerk.
literally someone who works in a grocery store, like who knows, could be making double the salary. I mean, it's a whole different game now because of those are jobs that are really needed or very important. And that's kind of interesting to think about, I guess.
Absolutely. Well, I want to end with something kind of fun. You mentioned Kelly Clarkson taking over the world in her pajamas, which we don't know about. But you know, I'm sitting here in my apartment where I've been for basically 2 months, wearing my same sweatpants. What do you have any fashion advice for those of us who are homebound, stuck to our computers?
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna take it from my mom again because my mom said the other day, she's like, I got up, I did my hair, I put on lipstick, I put on a fabulous blouse that I ordered online. She goes, and I went and sat on the sofa. And I was like, okay, fabulous. And she's like, it just makes me feel good. And I was like, and I think that's what it is. I think people should be at home and dress up if you want to dress up. If it makes you feel good and you feel like we were saying tonight, we're like, let's have a dinner party at home and dress up. Like, who cares? I think that's what people should do. And also, like, you're at home, you can kind of try anything and no one's judging you. You can wear a tutu every day if you want. It's the best time to try.
I love that. Everyone break out your tutus.
I hope.
Thank you so much, Christian. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you.